Hey, beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. And we are here today to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville, Sin City Showdown. I'll have the episode and season in the description. But let's talk about it. Okay, so the episode opens with Mel doing her music video. She looks cute, especially when she was walking with the dog. We see her greet the lady named Stormy. I guess that's her friend whose house it is. Very, very nice mansion, as they say, and it was beautiful. So as the video wraps, she has another friend named Brittany that comes in. Brittany is cute, and she has on these really cute strappy sandals. They're heels, and they go sit down in the back or on the little porch or whatever, and it's a little swing that Brittany sat on. And I don't think Brittany knew it was a swing because she was looking like, what the hell is this thing moving for? But she got her bearings, and Mel had to apologize to her. Oh, first of all, it seems as though Brittany was there babysitting. And she's like, thank you for looking after the kids or whatever. And I'm like, was she looking after the kids there? Like while you was making the video? Because it really did sound like it. And then she was saying that she had to apologize for Martell because apparently she ended up keeping the kids for Melody so she could do something. And Martell went on social media, as he always does, or does. He did an interview or something and was like, yeah, she left the kids with a lady who only has one kid. So she's not equipped to take care of all these kids, and just rude. Martell is just a jerk. I honestly don't even know how Mel dealt with him, and I don't know how he dealt with Melody's voice this whole time. But that's it for that scene. Let's move on. All right, so then we have Tisha and JAYLEN having a conversation. She comes in, she's like, what are you working on? And she's like, so how'd it go with the bar manager leaving and the chef? And he's like, it's been tough. My whole thing is, why is everybody jumping ship? There's something wrong. Something is terribly wrong at this place when all of your employees leave at the same time and they just can't take it anymore. That's usually when stuff is just shitty there. And we're going to find out that it really is. And I don't know whose fault it. Well, I mean, it starts at the head. The head would be Marceau and Tisha. But let me not jump ahead. Let's go back to the conversation. He said it's been tough. So I'm gonna just be honest. Tisha pissed me off so bad in this episode, not this episode. Well, I mean, in almost all the episodes, she pissed me off. But in this scene where she's talking to him, the faces she was making, rolling eyes and everything. Not to mention after he just told you that it was rough because he said half the staff left and he had bartenders and waitresses coming in on their off days. So he did step up to try to take care of it. And the only thing you can do is ask about some emails that you're missing. You didn't say, oh, great job and getting it done still. Sorry, it was hard. Like nothing except these emails. And he's like, yeah, so ever since this happened, I haven't been able to get them to you because, hell, I've been busy. I've been like rolling my sleeves up and going in there cooking or whatever. He's not a cook. That's not what he does. But he took it on himself as the general manager, who is probably more than likely being underpaid because he was not experienced, and y'all want him to do everything as if he's the owners. No, it's shitty. The way they treating him is just so wrong. But she was so disrespectful with her rolling of eyes and everything. This is a young man. Come on, Tisha, what the hell? So she tells him, although you have all these other things to do, you can't lack at your job. I still need your job to be done. Then I need you to do your job as the owner and find some replacements real quick because are you kidding me? This is not my business. Yes, I work here. Yes, I run it for you guys. But if you care at all about your business succeeding, you would also try to help out. Listen, so JAYLEN ain't no fool. He said, I'm sitting up here talking to her about being overwhelmed, and she want to keep talking to me about emails? Emails? He sounded like AI. We talking about practice? We talking about practice. Practice? And then he asked her very nicely, so how are me and you? She's like, what do you mean, how are me and you? He's like, it just comes off sometimes like you're just like, I don't trust that JAYLEN's really doing his job. And then she's like, well, I guess things could be better. And then he's like, so I'm just trying to make sure that, I know you have some issues with my mom right now, and I'm just trying to make sure that it's not kind of carrying over or whatever. So we're good. And she's like, well, we're family. So on the personal tip, we're always going to be good. And then she says in the confessional that she was offended by the fact that he said that to her. And I'm like, this again is a young man, and why can he not feel safe enough to actually talk to his family member about how he feels? And he's trying to get clarification. He's trying to he's going about it the right way to me. Like, you just want him to hold it in and be like, oh, I think she's holding a grudge or whatever. No, he felt a way. He brought it to you. Why are you offended? If this is your family member who you are going to just love no matter what, you guys, they are taking full advantage of this young man, and he just needs to quit. Now in comes Marceau, and he is pretty much giving JAYLEN his kudos. He said, we had 2 managers leave on a holiday weekend and we kept it going without missing a beat. Those are results. I'm proud of you. Good job or whatever. And I'm like, damn it, Tisha. Would it have killed you? Would it have killed you? So that one thing I can appreciate from Marceau. So with that, Marceau says, then, I'm giving you this feedback because you came out, you did it like an owner. And I'm like, yes, he did it like an owner, which he is not. He's like, so how do you feel about us? And JAYLEN was very honest. Again, this young man is just honest with his feelings. I appreciate that. He's like, listen, I thought that you guys would be a little more hands-on and you're not. He's like, I thought I was going to get a little more training that I didn't get. He's like, this weekend with all that happening on a very busy weekend, I just knew that you two would come in and be like, let me help wash dishes. Let me do something. And you didn't. So in the confessional, Marceau is like, I really thought he did a good job and he swam with the sharks and I wanted him to just see what he was capable of. All that gaslighting shit. That is gaslighting. Okay, y'all switching it around on him like, no, you can do it because y'all didn't. And no, y'all trying to make it seem like, oh, you have to just fight really hard to do your job. All of that is not his job. And the fact that you guys are turning around on him, y'all sound like employers that don't care about their employees, which is why you're losing every one of them. So in ending this scene, Marceau just lets him know that, listen, I just feel like you need to grow and that's why we left you to do everything. And JAYLEN in the confessional said, listen, even though I handled everything this weekend, I see why people are leaving because it's overwhelming. I need more help. And how many times does this young man have to say, I need help? He's asking for help. He's not coming off as someone who's lazy to me and not trying to get it done. He's been saying since day one, I haven't been trained and I'm overwhelmed. What are you guys doing to help? And the fact that you are switching it around like, oh yeah, you need to grow from this. It's bullshit. It's bull. No, I'm sorry. To end the scene, we have a confessional with Marceau and Tisha shitting on poor little JAYLEN. And I'm so over them. Oh my God, I'm so over them. He says, I'm trying to give him valuable life experiences and he's just not accepting it or whatever. And she's like, that's why I said you needed to hire somebody with experience. And he says, you were right. And I'm like, after this boy just told y'all he's struggling and he needs help and he wants to do better, and y'all are saying, no, figure it out, get it done, even though this is my business, my company. You figure it out, though. I'm not going to help you. Y'all shit on him. Oh my God. Just, So after JAYLEN leaves, they decide they're going to take the chairs off the tables to help JAYLEN out. Yeah, let's help JAYLEN out. Let's take the chairs down. But Tisha decides to apologize to Marceau for being so aggressive when she was out there talking to him with her mom. And she's like, just when I'm having a conversation and I'm trying to defend you and, I just need you to answer or whatever. And she's like, because you don't care, I feel like I'm constantly the one trying to prove to people. And he's like, you don't have to prove to people, and I'm tired of proving to people. He said, now, if it was a question that you had come to me with, fine, I would answer it. However, you got somebody in your ear feeding you this crap, and no, I'm not going to entertain it. And I'm looking at her like, girl, you don't have to prove to this is your mom. She either likes him or she doesn't, and that's going to be forever. So, why are you continuously engaging with your mom who is just straight hood fabulous and talks too much and puts on for the cameras? Why you just doing too much? But it was nice that she apologized. It's whatever for her and for him right now. So she tells him that she wants to take a trip with the group and, maybe go to Vegas and celebrate them being married for 15 years. And he's like, okay, as long as your mom isn't going. And she's like, no, I need a break from you too. So she's not going. And I'm like, would the mom really go? But I guess she's like a cast member or supporting cast, right? So you just never know if Carlos or Messy Mel decides to invite her to, kick up some more dust. All right, so then we have a scene where Maurice is going over to have a word with Tiffany's husband. And he's saying that, they already squashed the whole thing about Monster, but he just want to make sure that, he knows kids are off limits. And I'm like, Maurice, you better not do that, because he told his wife that, he's over it now. Don't beat a dead horse. And he's going to do this and he's going to say that. But, however, when Maurice got up in there, and Maurice, was very cordial or whatever, but again, he brought up the situation because that is why he's there. Listen, kids are off limits, this and that or whatever. Dude shaking his head the whole time. Mr. Agreeable. That's what we're going to call him. Mr. Agreeable. Yeah. Y'all remember when Kevin Hart did his stand-up, and y'all Google or YouTube Kevin Hart, Yes Man, and that is him. And I was just like, he was totally agreeable when they had that first meeting. So he wasn't doing nothing but talking shit when he was with his wife, because he's full of crap. And again, when Maurice comes and brings it up again, he's Mr. Yes Man again. Yeah. And he was sweating like crazy. I'm like, calm down. Calm down. Maurice isn't going to do anything to you. You can calm down. So he ends up, inviting him and them on the trip or whatever. And the way he did it was so funny. He's like, yeah, so I talked to such and such, and you guys can come. Not, would you guys like to come, or, you're invited or whatever. It's just, you guys can come. And he's like, oh, okay, great. So Mel goes over to Destiny's, and they're talking about the trip, and, she says, before we go on this trip, I just want to make sure me and my girl gonna go and have fun. I don't want any type of bad blood or, crazy feelings between us. So Mel is like, Destiny's like, you and I, we're the only singles there. And she's like, well, I'm assuming Martell is coming. And I'm like, you're not assuming nothing. You are an EP, and you know that he's coming. And she's like, but they better not pair us to do any type of couple things or put me with him to do nothing. And Destiny says, oh, well, can I make the same request with Tiffany? Don't put me to do anything with her. And Mel is like, here you go. And I'm like, yes, she cannot be here for Tiffany. Look at the way she came in. It's perfectly fine. Mel, shut up. Mel talking about, what is your problem with Tiffany? You already know what her problem is with Tiffany. Why are you sitting here playing stupid? Stop it, Mel. So they basically brush past that, because she's just like, yeah, she brought cold tea and this and that, and I don't like the way she approached me. Fine, Destiny. That's fine. It's valid. So then Destiny says, listen, I can come, but I have to drop the baby off to his dad, so I can't come until like the day after they get there. Mel is like, cool, then I'm not getting there until the day after too, because I'm not going to be there without you, because, I need you to, kind of have my back with Martell. And she's like, sure, I'll referee. And I'm like, see, that's what a friend does. A friend is like, okay, I'm there for you, as opposed to defending the other person constantly against you. So they make it to Vegas. They're on the party bus. Kimmie's on the pole, and Marceau tells her to sit down before her side boob pops out. And it really was about to. And then Tisha gets up there on the pole, and she slides down. Okay. The boring couple get there, and they tell Tiffany she has to get on the pole. She tries to act like she doesn't know what she's doing, and her husband is like, oh no, she knows. And I'm like, ill. Just ill. So on the bus, not Kimmie, Tisha's giving a little speech about them coming and what they're there for and everything. And she keeps saying, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, like a billion times. But it's fine. That's what they say. But Tiffany had to find some problem with it. And she's in the confessional, like, she keeps saying what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I'm starting to think what we talked about at Taco Tuesday or whatever it was, Taco something, wasn't a joke. And I think she's talking about the whole threesome thing. And I'm like, see what I mean? She's just messy for no reason. Why are you saying that? So they make it to the Airbnb, and it's really nice. So they're walking in, and they're like, what are we doing first? Martell says, oh, skinny dipping, let's go. And he's grabbing all the women. And I'm like, that's so freaking inappropriate. He's so inappropriate, because he would have had a fit, or maybe not. I don't know, but he's just inappropriate. That type of stuff ain't funny when you're talking about people's wives or whatever. So Maurice is like, everybody grab your wives. And I'm like, That's not cool. Because Martell's body, even though he is a dunt upstairs, his body, okay. Skinny dipping, you say? So they go picking rooms, and I'm not in love with the walls in the rooms or whatever. The Airbnb is really, really nice, so I'm not shitting on it at all. But I didn't like some of the painting and the eclectic stuff that they were doing on the walls. I'm just not about it. So Marcel tells her that she did a good job in picking the place, so that was nice. And he's saying how he loves the kitchen island. I do too. It's huge. I love it. And it looks like it's two of them in there. I love it because everybody just loves to sit around the kitchen island. Doesn't matter if you have dining room table or nothing. They just want to all sit around the kitchen island. So a nice long one. Yes, please. But she's like, yeah, he says he's getting a lot of ideas for, Scott Manor or whatever. And she says, yeah, in the waterfall. And he's like, yeah, no, you're taking it too far. So now they're in the kitchen, and Marcel opens the refrigerator, and he's like, where's the rotel? And all you hear is KIMMIE say, put that back. And he's like, what? And she's like, is that on your list? KIMMIE, I'm sorry. You cannot be policing people and their food on vacation. Appreciate it, when you do it normally. If that's what you're doing, you're helping him to eat right. But vacation, I'm going to need you to mind your business. So Maurice stands behind KIMMIE and says, this is on my list. Oh, because they were talking about, well, I didn't know we had a list, because KIMMIE was saying, is that on your list? And Maurice stands behind her and he's like, this is on my list, but she's trying to call for help. And they're like, what? And she's like, why are you saying that? And Tisha says, yeah, he said that you need help for him to satisfy you. And KIMMIE is just looking dumbfounded, like, what? So Maurice says, no, that's not what I was saying. I was just pretty much doing a play off of a conversation you guys had talking about threesomes. And Marcel says, this is what you do. After 15 years of marriage, let me tell you what you do. Ask for forgiveness. He says, ask for forgiveness later. And she says, how you gonna use my words against me? You guys, this whole conversation was very uncomfortable. Like, I just think some stuff you don't play with. I don't know. I just feel like they play too much sometimes with the stuff they be saying. So Marcel says, if she mess around with another chick, it ain't cheating. And KIMMIE's like, yeah, that's cheating. And all the men are pretty much saying, no, it's not cheating. What? Then here come Dumb and Dumber. Did we miss something? And they talking about, here are the rules of Vegas. He proceeds to tell them that if she goes out and finds somebody, a woman, he doesn't consider that cheating. And she says, well, what do you consider it? Well, what do you consider cheating, Marcel? And he says, cheating is with somebody you don't know. So in the confessional, KIMMIE says, if anybody should know the rules of cheating, it should be Martell. And Maurice is like, well, he don't seem to remember him or something because he didn't do a good job at it. Martell says, cheating is when you don't know. And Tisha says he's not going to know. So then Tisha says to Maurice, yeah, Destiny thought that it would be you, her, and KIMMIE. And Maurice is like, why did she think that? And she said, because she said KIMMIE rubs on her. And Maurice is just really happy about this. He's like, oop, KIMMIE's a rubber. KIMMIE's a rubber. And she's like, who do I rub on the most? And everybody says Martell. And I'm like, Jesus. And then KIMMIE goes, well, just because I can appreciate a woman's body or whatever doesn't mean that I want Destiny. And she's like, she thinks I want her. She thinks my son want her. Destiny thinks everybody wants her. And they're all laughing at Destiny, which I didn't like this part because you already know you standing here with somebody who don't really fuck with her like that. Tiffany is a jerk. She already don't really like Destiny, and it seems like it's coming off as you guys clowning her, and she's not even there to defend herself. I don't like it. So Tisha says, the way a threesome works, you guys don't plan it. It just happens or whatever. And Maurice is like, you sound like y'all did it before. And she's like, no, we never did it. They both said, no, they never did it. And he's like, after 15 years, now's the time, Tisha. And I'm like, it sounds like she want to. And I'm like, maybe she want to do it with Destiny. Everybody wants Destiny, or Destiny wants everybody. So Marcel says, listen, don't try to pressure my wife into doing a threesome. If she don't want to do it, she don't have to do it. And then he says, but if she wants to, she can. And they start laughing. So it looks like later on they're all in their rooms, taking naps and freshening up or whatever. And Tisha says, listen, it looks like everybody's, just trying to enjoy the house or whatever for tonight. So why don't we just take shots and put on our bathing suits and go swimming or whatever? And he's like, whatever you want to do. So they start looking at her two pieces or whatever. And he's like, what is this? Which is the front? Which is the back? And she's like, it doesn't matter. He's like, it does because we have some single people here. And she's like, the only one single is Martell, and he's not looking at me. I'm like, you don't know that because Martell is just ugh. So while the ladies are putting on their bathing suits, the men are, pretty much laying on the bed just having commentary and hollering back and forth. And it's so funny the difference between people who've been married 15 years and KIMMIE and Maurice, who's been married, like 3 or 4 years or something like that. So he's asking her, Maurice is asking KIMMIE, you got something special? She's like, nah, just a bathing suit. So she goes into the closet, it looks like, and she's like throwing out different articles of clothing that she has on. And he's like, oh yeah, you want me to come and help you? And she's like, no. And he's like, yeah, because we'll take a little bit longer to get out there. Cut to Tisha and Marceau, and he's laying on the bed, and she's like, want to come help me? And he's like, nah, you got that. And she's like, then don't try to help me take it off either. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Like, Marceau is a jerk. So they're all going into the kitchen to do shots and everything, and Martell in his confessional says that, he doesn't feel any way about being the only single person there because, they're just all his friends. He says, but since Mel is coming tomorrow, I'm a little hesitant because I don't know what's going to go. Like, I don't know what she's going to be giving, and therefore I don't know what I'm going to be giving. And I can see how that's, I wouldn't want to do it. I don't know how they're doing it. I wouldn't want to be around him at all. So Tiffany comes downstairs, and they're like, where's your big unattractive husband? And she's like, oh, you know how babies are when they first wake up? And they're like, no, we don't. And she's like, they got to stretch. And I'm like, girl, you don't make no sense. Shut up. So Marceau says, no, I try not to know a whole lot about babies. That's what I got a wife for. He is such a misogynist and doesn't care who knows. So in the confessional, Tiffany is like, ew, the stuff that Marceau says, I swear, I don't know how she deals with him. And I'm like, girl, that shit's going to come back to bite you in the reunion. All this crap you talking in the confessional, it's going to come up in the reunion. So just be ready to defend yourself because you don't say nothing in front of these people. But you and your husband talk big shit in the confessionals. So then Maurice starts joking about how Marceau looks different now. He lost 70 pounds. He didn't have a beard or whatever. So Marceau comes in because he had left the kitchen for a second. And he's like, oh, y'all want jokes? So he says, this is before KIMMIE. Maurice was in a fucked up marriage. And they start laughing. And KIMMIE's like, don't say that. And then Tiffany's nosy ass is like, what? What'd he say? And I'm like, first of all, Marceau, it wasn't funny. Like, but they said he's drunk. So, of course, he's thinking his little joke is hilarious. So they tell nosy Tiffany what he said. And she's like, oh, Marceau. And then she looks at Maurice and says, and then KIMMIE had to come steal you away. And I'm like, that shit ain't funny. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's just not funny. And don't come crying later when they get all in that ass. Don't come crying later. Because all you like to do is I hate this term because everybody uses it, but throw a rock and hide your hands or whatever. But that's what she does. She talk mad crap and then act like she's the victim later. Okay. So KIMMIE says, no, that's Martell's narrative. And they're all kind of laughing or whatever, but Marceau says KIMMIE saved him. And then KIMMIE comes up to Tiffany and she's like, look, let's make it clear. I was not a side chick. I love how KIMMIE called her the new girl. And she said it to her face. Listen, I want to just clarify things for the new girl. Yes, you are the new, hopefully old girl. Hopefully they don't have her back because she serves no purpose. So in the confessional, KIMMIE says, listen, Martell came up with that narrative just to take the heat off him. And apparently it's working because, look, people are still saying it. So KIMMIE says, listen, I don't care if we're in Vegas or Huntsville. The shit ain't funny. I'm tired of hearing it. And so they're out in the pool, and Marceau tells Martell that, he's handling the divorce well. And I'm like, is he? He's going on a tour trashing his wife or ex-wife. Is he handling it well? And then Tiffany says, it's better on the other side. And I'm like, oh. Every time she speaks, I am just irritated because what are you saying? And what are you talking about? How is it better on the other side? Don't say that to people who are not happy yet. You can say that when somebody is like happily divorced or whatever. He's still going through some things. She's just dumb. So then they get to talking about, the second time around, and Tisha's saying, yeah, I'm staying with the same person. And Tiffany starts frowning, and she says, non-side chickish, and she's pointing at KIMMIE, and everybody gets a kick out of it, except KIMMIE, and she's getting mad now for real, because she's like, listen, where is this girl coming from? Where did she even get this from, and why does she keep saying it? So she does this whole thing where she's like beating up Martell because he's the one that came up with the rumor, but you need to be beating up Tiffany, and I'll help. So KIMMIE says she has never been and will never be a side chick, and she's not sure where they got it from. And Martell says he got it from Marceau, and he's like, yeah, he's the one told me. And then he said, but we was just playing though. I don't know, y'all. I think maybe he did tell him that or something. I don't know. Maybe they overlapped a little bit. I don't know. But KIMMIE is adamant that it did not happen. So I'm going to believe KIMMIE because she hasn't come off as a liar before. And Martell just is. So Marceau says something about being a side chick isn't a bad thing or whatever. And that's what I'm saying. They play too much. Like some of the stuff they be saying, yeah, I really think you feel that way. And Tisha's like, yeah, but these side chicks getting besides themselves. And KIMMIE's like, listen, I'm not a side chick and it's really not funny at this point. So she says, since it's so funny, is it as funny as you having a side baby? And he says, yeah, that's just funny as hell. And she said, yeah, it's funny to you, but I don't see Tisha laughing. So in the confessional, Tisha's like, she didn't even have to bring that up. We were joking and everything. No, but y'all actually coming for her. I mean, Tisha wasn't, but your man is constantly jabbing her with this joke that obviously offends her and he won't let up. So yeah, listen, all's fair in love and war. So she wanted to cut him back, so she did. So now here goes Tisha being a jerk like her husband and saying, oh, well, since we talking, let's talk about the fact that, your son, I tried to have a conversation with your son, and I'm like, oh, she's out of bounds already. Number one, you getting all serious when they were joking or whatever. She just said leave her alone, lay off of her. And now you want to bring up a conversation with her son in front of everybody. It's not everybody's business. I thought y'all said kids were off limits, but here you go. Oh, no, I'm sorry. First, she starts off with the whole Wanda thing and the fact that she had to leave the graduation party or whatever, and Wanda told her that she told her to shut the F up. And she's like, I never told her that. So flashback, of course, she never told her that. And then Tisha's saying, well, why would I think that my mom would lie or whatever? And I'm like, because your husband just said she's a known liar in the last episode. So there you go. So KIMMIE tells Tisha, listen, I feel like your mom puts 20 on 10 so that she can get a rise out of you. And then here I am constantly having to explain myself, and I'm constantly fighting every day. And Tisha's like, you're not fighting. She's like, yeah, I am. I'm fighting you. I'm fighting your cousin. I'm fighting your brother. Tisha's like, yeah, they're just talking about stuff that they're seeing on TV. She's like, well, maybe they don't need to watch TV. So Tisha says, yeah, and it's constantly a problem because I was talking to JAYLEN and he was asking me, are we okay because of the stuff that me and you are going through? And I told him, no, we're family. We're always going to be okay. And KIMMIE says, yeah, because he doesn't come to me saying derogatory things about you and then I come to you asking about it, kind of like her mom does. And Tisha's like, because he has nothing to tell. And KIMMIE's like, oh, yes, he does. So Tisha's like, what have I said to JAYLEN? And KIMMIE's like, yeah, when you're short with him and then when you tell him don't say yes ma'am to me, it's disrespectful. And then they go on this whole thing about how it is disrespectful, and Marceau chimes in and says no, he was being disrespectful. He kept saying yes ma'am or whatever, and he's like, I'm the king of sending text and knowing that it has some sort of undertones, but the way that I put it, I can deny it later. So he's like, that's what he was doing. He was being smart. And so they kept saying, oh, he was being smart. So I think basically they were saying he was being condescending, where he kept saying yes ma'am. But look at Mr. Manipulative letting everybody know what he does. He's the king of a lie, aren't you, more so? So Tisha says, no, that's not how it went. You need to read the whole thing. Go read his text messages. And KIMMIE says, I did. And she says, and they kept saying he was being smart. KIMMIE says, and you got a smart mouth too. And then Marceau chimes in and says, well, we all can be smart and we all can be wrong sometimes. I can, you can, Tisha can. We're all kind of wrong in it at times. Yo, Tisha called him rude, disrespectful, and KIMMIE's like, no, he's not, and no, he didn't. And she's like, well, that's your son. You're gonna defend him same way my mom defends me. And I'm like, this would have went all bad if it were anybody talking about my daughter like that. It would have went all bad, especially if we face to face. I'm sorry, I'm grown, but you're not gonna talk about my baby like that. So Marceau says, you think JAYLEN is never wrong. And she turns to Maurice and she's like, do I ever say JAYLEN is wrong? And Maurice says, yeah, and she corrects him all the time. And Marceau is like, well, not with us. And KIMMIE is fed up. She's like, I'm so tired of your ass. And then it's to be continued. All right, so that's the end of the episode. And I can't lie, it gave. I enjoyed it. Even watching it the second time to do the review, I wasn't mad at it. But if you are still here, you are the real MVP, and I appreciate you more than you know. I really do. I appreciate my subbies. I appreciate it so much. If you have not yet subscribed, please do. I need to get my numbers up, y'all. Come on, please. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Smooches.